On today's Community Wednesday, let's break down a subscriber's sniper support FAL. The build that was sent in to me is extremely close to one of the ones that I mentioned in my bullet penetration video. So this comparison should be quite interesting, especially since it takes a little different approach. Instead of prioritizing mobility in order to shoot through walls, it prioritizes mobility to function as a sniper support weapon. This build is using the tac laser, no stock, 30 round mags, stippled grip, and sleight of hand. And you probably catched it, no suppressor. Along with all unsuppressed weapons, it gets a stealth modifier of -50. If it still could get a green TTK across the board, then it would only get a -25, but it doesn't. So moving on to mobility, it has an ADS time of 170 milliseconds, and an insanely fast reload time of 2.37 seconds from empty and 1.74 if you leave one bullet in the mag. With a mag cap of 30 and a fire rate that's kinda slow, this is a bit overkill. Its movement and sprint speeds are pretty good for a Modern Warfare long-range weapon, but not as good as an SMG, or as good as an assault rifle from Cold War or Vanguard. Its ADS strafe speed is 2.30 meters per second, which is okay for a sniper support weapon, but it could definitely be better. Its sprint out time won't be beating SMGs, but it'll at least beat most assault rifles and LMGs. And its stability is a pretty respectable 2T. Its bullet velocity is 625 meters per second, which is around what is accepted for sniper support weapons. And lastly, its rate of fire is 7.83 rounds per second or 470 rounds per minute. A bit slow, but it can definitely work. So it gets a mobility score of 35. The recoil is pretty much just what I said about the long-range optimized FAL, except it's now stretched out pretty far. Sometimes it makes a really nice pattern, and then other times it does weird curves. I'm not sure if it has to do with the aiming stability or randomized recoil, but it is the way it is. At the full fire rate though, you can use it up to 33 meters. Beyond, you're gonna have to slow down your fire rate. So it gets a recoil score of 30. Now for its damage. It has a drop-off range at 21 meters, but this doesn't really matter because it maintains the same shots to kill after. I included the extra TTK information for beyond 30 meters just so you can see how bullet velocity is impacting it. But as for the score, it's going to be exactly the same as the optimized FAL. Sure, the numbers are going to be different, but up close, it's not going to be the greatest, and at range, that's definitely where it's going to shine. But if you get one headshot in the mix in either category, it's going to get really great. And this is what makes the weapon so versatile. As long as you land one headshot, it's going to be a great choice for up close and range. So it gets a damage score of 75. And when we add up all the categories, it gets a final score of 90. Yeah, this would be definitely a lot higher if it had a suppressor. But it doesn't, and honestly, that's its biggest downfall. Because even if you manage to get a kill, someone's going to see you on the radar and take you out instantly. Depending on the mode, this probably doesn't matter too much, but I personally like avoiding deaths as much as possible. You can definitely swap out sleight of hand for a suppressor and keep your high mobility and stability. Just to compare all my other FAL builds, here are the stats for all of them. The Combat Scout build is definitely meant for close range, not as a sniper support build, especially because it's aiming stability. My CQB build is definitely a more sniper support build when compared to it, and because of its balanced stats, it can be used to a pretty long range, as long as you're okay with iron sights. And the long range build, well, I made a whole video about it. The FAL is just a very versatile gun, and you can build it many ways. As long as you remember that one of its weaknesses is its recoil pattern, then you're gonna be pretty good. That's why it's the easiest to build for really close range and beyond 30 meters. Although its rate of fire does make the skill required to use at close range a little bit different than it is for long range. So to fix this build, like I said, I would personally replace sleight of hand for the monolithic suppressor. But if you're really just going max fire rate, then you can probably swap the tac laser. Sure, a lot of aiming stability will be lost, but if you're hitting max fire rate, you're probably not using it at maximum range, so it doesn't matter that much. And if you're worried about aim down sight speed, thanks to the way the attachments stack, it's barely helping you right now. You're only going to be losing one frame, but whichever way you go, you're going to be getting off the radar now, and your bullet velocity will also be better. So that was the sniper support FAL. Do you agree with the score and my suggestions, or do you think that running an FAL with no suppressor is fine? And as always, if there's any weapon build or part of the game you want me to break down, let me know and you may see it on the next Community Wednesday. Thanks for watching.